They told you that humanistic psychology was about love, about self-actualization and the warm ascent toward your highest self. Or rather, they told you the version they wanted you to believe. The version that keeps you grateful. The version that makes you easy to manage. What Abraham Maslow actually built was a map of human vulnerability, a precise hierarchy of needs, and every need on that pyramid is a lever. And the man who understands how those levers work does not climb the pyramid. He stands beneath it and he moves everyone else. By the end of this, you will never look at another human being the same way again. In 1943, Abraham Maslow published A Theory of Human Motivation. The academic world received it as a theory of growth, a compassionate framework for understanding what human beings need to flourish. Textbooks placed it under warm headings: self-esteem, belonging, love. Therapists used it to help clients understand their suffering. Corporations used it to design better workplaces. It became the lingua franca of HR departments and motivational speakers. But Machiavelli, had he lived to read it, would have recognized it immediately for what it truly was: a taxonomy of dependence. Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. Maslow mapped the exact architecture of those immediate needs. 5 tiers. 5 categories of human hunger. And every single one of them is a point of entry for those who know how to read people rather than simply feel for them. The surgeon does not weep over the anatomy chart. The first tier. Physiological needs. Food, water, shelter. The most primitive hungers. At this level, a man will do anything. History confirms this without sentiment, but you need not be barbaric to operate here. You simply need to understand, control someone's environment, their comfort, their access to rest, their physical ease, and you influence their cognition before you ever speak a word. The executive who schedules a negotiation at 7 a.m. after keeping his counterpart out until midnight is not being accidentally inconsiderate. He is operating at Tier 1. The second tier, safety, security, stability, freedom from fear. This is where most political power lives. The ruler who manufactures uncertainty, then offers himself as the solution to that uncertainty, has always understood this tier intuitively. You do not need to create the danger. You need only make the danger feel more real and your presence feel more secure. This is what Machiavelli meant by the prince who is both loved and feared. Love is fragile, but the desire for safety is structural. The third tier, belonging. Love, friendship, group membership. The most exploited tier in modern social architecture. Cults operate here. Brands operate here. Political movements operate here. Human beings will abandon reason, sacrifice resources, and perform extraordinary feats of self-betrayal in exchange for the feeling of being included. The strategist who creates an in-group with rituals, language, and an implied out-group has manufactured belonging and therefore loyalty from nothing. Do not underestimate this. The need to belong is not weakness. It is biology. Biology is leverage. The fourth tier, esteem. Status, recognition, respect, the internal conviction of competence. This is perhaps the most actionable lever in professional and social environments. A person who does not feel seen will attach intensely to the person who finally sees them. Praise, deployed strategically, specifically, and with apparent restraint, binds. Withholding that praise at the right moment creates performance. The person who controls another's sense of esteem controls their behavior without ever issuing a direct command. The fifth tier, self-actualization. Maslow reserved this for the summit. Creativity, meaning, the full expression of potential. And here the Machiavellian insight is most elegant. The man who positions himself as the gateway to another as self-actualization, who frames his as, project his cause, his vision as the vehicle through which the other person becomes who they were always meant to be. That man has achieved perfect devotion, People will work without wages for this. They will suffer inconvenience, absorb criticism, absorb cruelty, and call it growth. Because the promise of self-actualization is the most potent motivational construct in human psychology. Carl Rogers, the other towering figure of humanistic psychology, gave the world the concept of unconditional positive regard. The idea that a therapist, a leader, a human being should accept another person fully, without conditions, exactly as they are. Understand what you hold in your hands when you deploy unconditional positive regard as a strategic posture. You hold a weapon of extraordinary subtlety. Most people have been conditioned from infancy to receive love conditionally. Approval comes when they perform. Affection comes when they comply. What happens when you offer a person acceptance without conditions? They do not experience freedom. They experience debt. An emotional debt they will spend years trying to repay. Rogers intended this as liberation. What he built, inadvertently, was a method for creating profound emotional dependency in the people you choose to treat this way. The Machiavellian does not possess this understanding in order to exploit the vulnerable. He possesses it in order to understand the architecture of every social exchange he enters. He sees the invisible scaffolding that holds human behavior together, and seeing it, he moves with the precision that others experience simply as charisma, leadership, or, if he has mastered the performance, warmth. Principles of applied humanistic strategy. Now we move from theory to doctrine. 3 principles for the practitioner. Principle 1. Diagnose before you speak. Before any significant social engagement, a negotiation, a seduction, a hiring conversation, a political alliance, ask yourself, where is this person on the hierarchy right now? Not where they want to be, where they actually are. A person operating from a deficit of safety does not want your vision for the future. They want reassurance. Offer the wrong currency, and you lose influence before you've begun. Principle 2. Be the answer to the need they cannot name. Most people lack the language to articulate what they are truly missing. They say they want more money when they want more status. They say they want freedom when they want to belong to the right group. They say they want to improve themselves when they want to be seen improving themselves. Listen past the stated desire. Locate the actual need. Become the thing that meets that need, and the stated desire becomes irrelevant. They will follow you toward outcomes they never consciously chose. Principle 3. Regulate your own hierarchy ruthlessly. The master of this framework is not a man without needs. He is a man who knows his needs exactly, manages them privately, and never allows another person to observe a deficit they could exploit. You may have needs of belonging. Satisfy them in relationships where the power dynamic cannot be used against you. You may crave recognition. Obtain it in domains where it costs you nothing strategically. Never let a competitor see which tier you are hungry at. That hunger is the only truly dangerous thing you possess. What Maslow knew that he never said. Here is the final irony, the one the textbooks will never teach you. Abraham Maslow, in his later years, grew deeply uncomfortable with what his theory had become. He watched corporations use it to engineer employee motivation. He watched advertisers use it to manufacture desire. He watched his pyramid become an instrument of mass manipulation at a scale he never anticipated. He began to write about what he called the farther reaches of human nature, a realm beyond self-actualization, a state of transcendence. The suggestion was, perhaps, that there existed a tier of human consciousness that could not be leveraged, that could not be instrumentalized, that lay beyond the reach of the strategist and the manipulator. He may have been right, or he may have simply reached the limit of his own willingness to see clearly. What we can say with certainty is this: for every human being who has not yet reached that transcendent state, and that is nearly everyone you will ever encounter, the hierarchy is real, and the person who understands them with cold precision will always move through the world with a power that others will attribute to charm, to luck, or to fate. It is none of those things. It is knowledge, applied. Humanistic psychology was designed to liberate the human being. Study it long enough, and you will understand that it can also be the most precise map to the interior of anyone you choose to understand. The choice of how you use that map is the only question of character that remains. Machiavelli did not tell you to be cruel. He told you to be clear.